Are the Falcons now legit Super Bowl contenders?
Oh, there's no question about it. You know, when they signed Kirk Cousins, they were legit playoff contenders. And the two corresponding moves since Kirk Cousins has gotten there with the addition of Judon and Simmons, there's no question. This is a football team that has been slightly below average. Don't pay attention to Stephen A.
Let's just
guys,
get a screen grab of
Kimberly,
everyone
me
right
and
now.
you. Like, just don't pay attention to that. They've been below average, slightly below average, with relatively poor quarterback play. Kirk Cousins bringing well above average quarterback play. They're dynamically talented on offense. They got a really good offensive line. Raheem Morris' second run as a head coach, so the experience that he's gained both in his own head coach run, but also under Sean McVay. And Simmons and Judon, while they're older, if those guys are kind of relatively close to what they've been for the past couple seasons, this is a really, really good defense. You pair him, Simmons, and Jesse Bates, that's one of the best safety duos in football. And if Judon can rush the passer with Grady Jarrett, man, this is a complete football team.
Oh, my God. When you look at the Atlanta Falcons, particularly under Arthur Smith, we saw a roster. We saw them, you know. Okay, you got London Drake. You've got, you know, like you said, Darnell Mooney. You got him. Ray McLeod. We get all that. They got some weapons. Bijan Robinson is no joke. He's big time. We understand that. But it all stops when you get to Kirk Cousins.
No, it doesn't.
We've lamented how Dak Prescott has 2 playoff victories in 8 seasons as a starter. Who's worse, Dan Orlovsky, in the postseason? Who's worse?
I would imagine you're going to say Kirk Cousins has less.
It would be Kirk Cousins. Yeah. And so for you to sit up there and say,
it's such an absurd comparison. Dak Prescott has significantly better teams. What are you even talking about? The Dallas Cowboys have been top 3 in Pro Bowl players and All-Pro players. So what are we talking about here? You can't just compare the two like that. Dak Prescott has had the consistency. Okay, Kirk Cousins, for a majority of his career, was out there with the Washington Commanders. They weren't even called the Commanders. Being coached by a coach that's not even in the NFL anymore. What are we talking about? And then he had another head coach in Minnesota who also is no longer a head coach anymore. Who was like this hard-nosed defensive head coach who did not know what to do on offense. And then he finally got Jefferson. He finally got Kevin O'Connell and had fantastic success. Unfortunately, it was for a shorter window. He hasn't had that for over long stretches. And last season, he was playing great, and the Minnesota Vikings were playing great. He then unfortunately got injured. So that's just such utter nonsense. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's undeniable the gifts that Dak Prescott has been given. If you want to say he hasn't had great head coaches, okay. But he also has had Mike McCarthy for years. Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning head coach at the very least. It's just absurd. And I'm a firm believer in Kevin O'Connell. Firm believer. I think Kevin O'Connell is a great head coach. But he was also a brand new head coach with Kirk Cousins. He did have to learn how to be a head coach. He had to go through his own growing pains. That is a transition. Those things do matter. So we can't just blame Kirk Cousins for some of the lack of playoff success. What have the Washington Commanders done for years? Nothing. Literally nothing. The Minnesota Vikings, what have they done? Nothing. The best decision they've made in the last 15 years was hiring Kevin O'Connell. So I just reject this. And then look how the Minnesota Vikings completely fell apart as soon as Kirk Cousins went down. It's almost as if Kirk Cousins was a major part of their success. Yeah, I think so. It's just because Kirk Cousins is not super cool right? He's not all over the State Farm commercials, the Nike commercials. He's older. He's not all on social media. He doesn't have a podcast that, like, people want to pull him down. He doesn't run around in circles like the Mahomes, like the Lamars. So they just always want to bring him down, and it's just kind of absurd. There's a reason why he's consistently got paid. There's a reason why teams consistently want him. Because people in the NFL know he's legit. Just because he hasn't been able to consistently win in the playoffs and get to a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, it's not all on him. He hasn't been given these amazing teams with amazing coaches. He's had tiny little moments of having that. And then, unfortunately, when things were going to come together last season, he got injured. Just bad luck. But you're going to go back and look at those Washington Commanders teams and think that he should have been able to be better than what he was able to do? Like, come on. That's one of the most mismanaged teams in NFL history at this point. Like, what are we talking about here? It's just kind of crazy. It's just crazy. So I agree with Orlovsky. I think the Falcons are no question contenders. I think they are going to be legit. I do think that Kirk Cousins is going to make a full recovery. And I think he will be settled and comfortable in Atlanta. And I think Atlanta is going to say, oh my God, this is what it's like to have a quarterback who actually knows how to be a quarterback, who knows how to run an offense, who can listen to the head coach, comprehend what's being said to him, or the offensive coordinator can comprehend what's being said to him, and then go out and get to work. Because I don't think the Falcons have had that in like nearly 2 decades. I'm probably missing someone here and there. But my God, they finally have a quarterback who can get the job done, who doesn't need to learn how to play football, who doesn't need to learn how to play football the right way. Kirk Cousins can talk the talk and walk the walk. I don't think it needs to be much more complicated than that. And to try to say like we rip Dak Prescott for his lack of playoff success, and yet Kirk Cousins has less, and therefore Kirk Cousins is less, is absolutely insanity. That argument holds zero weight and makes absolutely no sense. None. Dak Prescott also plays for the most popular team in the NFL. He's the quarterback for one of the most popular sports franchises in the world. That's not an opinion, that's a literal fact. So yeah, he's held to mega high standards. That's the way it works when you're the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. When your team is just littered with the most Pro Bowlers and all pro players. Yeah. You're going to be held to those standards. When you win 12 games year after year after year and then get embarrassed in the playoffs. Yeah, people are going to point fingers and pull out and pull down Dak Prescott for that. That makes sense. It's undeniable that Kirk Cousins has done more with less, whereas Dak has done less with more. Enough said. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think the Falcons are legit Super Bowl contenders? Let me know in the comments below. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.